Hi everybody, welcome back to Spruverse, my scale model universe. And back on the bench is the Horton 229, the Superwing series number 8 in 132 scale from Zoukei-Mura. Zoukei-Mura, I apologize if I'm destroying that. Now I have a confession to make. I've been quietly working away here on a Monday. It's the 9th of May. And I'm building this incredibly detailed, beautiful kit for a subscriber and a friend, Brett, out there who unfortunately is not well enough to tackle this on his own, wanted to give me the kit. I said, no, I won't take the kit, but I will build it for you on the channel and hopefully get it back to you sooner than later. Although my confession at the time was, not really a plane guy, don't really know how to do it and don't do it well, so I was a little panicky. But then I thought to myself, you know, this is how you hone skills and this is how you step up, and it's good for my soul and it's good for the community. So here we are, we're sort of thick in the middle of it. This is part 2. For those of you just joining and you've just found me and you're wondering what the heck is going on, welcome. Please like and subscribe. It means an awful lot to me. And there is a first part to this build, so go back and check it out and it'll explain all. I do an unboxing and I go into great detail. But here we are, and another confession for me to make. I was quietly working away on the bench, as I said, and I thought to myself, you know what? You are not being cool. You need to turn the cameras on and you need to record this, because you're getting too far ahead of this of yourself and no one can see what you're doing. There's a part of me that goes, yeah, what's wrong with that? I'm happy, I'm content, no one can see what I'm doing and I'm trying to figure it out, so leave me alone. And then the other part of me says, no, get the cameras on and show people what you're doing. So I'm doing it, and I don't mind telling you, I'm nervous. I'm genuinely nervous because I'm really, really green at building planes, and I'm trying so hard to make this perfect for Brett. He deserves nothing less, so I'm trying really hard. Let me show you where we are. So this is the airframe, and I'm working from this incredibly detailed manual here. And they take you through step by step by step by step, and I've been following them to build this airframe. And it is an absolute bird's nest of pipage. Now, believe it or not, the detail on this, you know, the engineering, I should say, is excellent. So just making sure that everything is square, that the frame is completely level, and everything is where it should be, is key to this. You've got to check and double check. And in your instructions, they're very, very good at calling out paint and telling you when you've got to do something. But they're also very good at saying, hey, be careful, because if something isn't lined up, you're going to need to connect it to a bigger piece later. And if you're not where you need to be, you're going to be in a world of trouble. So I'm trying really hard to get it right, and also put in some of the detail they're asking us to put in. I'll show you that on the close-up again. So they're asking you for some silver and some brass metal pieces. There's a little oxygen or some kind of a tank there with some kind of liquid gas in it. And then there was a box here that they called out for you to make sure that you've put that in. So that is what I have done. And it's going together quite well. It's a beautiful kit. I mean, if you're into planes and you don't know this company, Zoukei-Mura, a Japanese company, you need to go check them out, because they've got some amazing stuff. Now, I know a lot of you rolling your eyes and going, Phil, come on, we've been building planes for years. Okay, I apologize, but as most of you know who are subscribers and follow me, I'm learning too. I don't claim to be a professional modeler. I came back to this after being gone for a long time. And I have my mentors, obviously Lou Del Meso over at Aztec Dummy, one of them. And I learn. I learn from great builders. Ken Spriggs, a gentleman that I've just discovered, learning from him. These are a lot of fantasy guys. And of course, the great Plasmo, who is the guru of gurus when it comes to planes. You know, there's a lot of talented guys out there and women who are building, and check them all out. YouTube is a great place to do it. But here we are. So what I've done is to catch you up. I've built 2 of the engines, and I'll show you. Here they are, and they're in various different states of play because I'm playing with color, I'm playing with washes and finishes, I'm trying to determine how much, you know, aging I should have on it. I'm assuming they have been test fired at this point, so I'm trying to sort of put on some appropriate burn and scorch marks. I'll play with some all-clads. I'll try to get some metal scorching around here at a certain point. But these went together quite well. Now, one of them, don't panic. Yeah, it's got a glass coat on it because I was playing with some washes. But we'll kill that with a mat when we're finished. Same with this. It's not appropriately finished yet, but I've been putting in a lot of detail, and all the pipes went in, and they went in really well. So. The point the reason why I'm sort of going through the motions of all of that is because at some point we're going to be dropping these engines into the, they're going to drop into the airframe. Somehow, I don't know how yet. So, but they're going to drop into this airframe, and they're going to drop in quite well. Now, there's a reasonable amount of weight to these. So obviously, you know, you got to make sure that everything is glued down well, which is what I'm doing. Some of the parts that I'm putting in, I'm putting in these parts here. They're still gray. I'm going to touch them up with my sky that I'm painting them. Now, it did call for a gray, but I thought that was kind of bland. And since half of this model is going to be covered by its finished wing and with interior of the fuselage, Brett and I discussed the fact that we'd have half of it finished, and on the other half we'd have a piece of a cutaway, so you could actually see a lot of the details of the engines and the inner workings of this plane, because it was a wacky plane. It came out towards the end of the war. There were 2 of them that were built. One of them crashed and killed the test pilot, and the other one has survived, and portions of it are in the Smithsonian. There's a piece of it right here that you can see. So we've got some incredible information and knowledge about this. Now we're not age appropriate. We're not making it sort of aged out, you know. We're not doing that. We're actually we're gonna believe that it's probably had a couple of test firings of its engines. They've put the engines into the plane, and it's about ready to take off and kill its test pilot. Is where we are, I think, in the story for this build. Brett also sent me along this incredible concept notes book. Now, I don't know enough about plane modeling and Zoukei-Mura's line to know if this is for every single superwing series that they do. This is the 8th in that series. So I don't know if all of their superwings get this treatment, but I'm telling you, holy cow, this is ridiculous. It is the most beautiful concept notes you could ever want. And with every call out for paint and details, that you could ever ask for. And so it is really a wealth of information, an absolute wealth of information. And I don't mind telling you, it has given me a tremendous amount of, you know, sort of courage to do this, because all this reference material is really helpful. So one of the things that I'm doing while we're on the bench here is I'm working on putting these angled frames into the assembly. Now I'm using a couple of glues. I'm actually using some Revell's professional contactor, and I'm also using, you know, a little bit of the our famous you know, Tamiya extra thin. I'm using those because the plastic is quite it's of a good quality, and so it seems to be holding up quite well. So what I'm doing is I'm sort of locating here, and I'll probably do it on the close-up camera here for you. I'm locating these pieces as I have to, and dropping them into place. And when you do that, you sort of want to find your pins, as I have done, like such. Oops. See, this is why you don't do this kind of stuff on camera, but I think it's worth it. Okay, so that sits in there, and then it just drops into there. Okay, perfect. And then we're gonna, okay, let me get my tweezers here. And now I know where that goes. I'm going to get my contactor. And I'm going to get a little bit of dab of glue on that. And then we can put this into place. Now, one of the things I should say is that when you're doing this, you have to be absolutely sure you are where you need to be in terms of the there, in terms of the frame. I like the contactor because you get a little bit of extra time to get everything secure, and so that's in place. And you sort of want to make sure that everything is where it needs to be. Now, curiously, you'll see here there's a little bit of I'll show you on this camera. There's a little bit of this is absolutely where it needs to be, so that's correct, and it's attached to the frame correctly. But when you look at it, you'll notice on this side, I've got, let me try to get you closer here. I've got this side here appears to be in the correct position, and this side, it appears to be a little sort of out of it. Now, that's one of the issues you have when it comes to making sure that everything is in complete alignment. But what I'm doing is I'm looking down on it now, and I'm realizing that this piece on this side, it might be a little warped, but it's nothing terrible. So I feel like I'm pretty good there. And then the next piece that goes in is let me get rid of my engines, because I'm on this page here, which is page 17. If you're following along, 3.2 here, it wants this piece to sit down, and it wants it to sit down on the airframe. Now I can see where it wants it to sit, so I can actually test fit this here. It wants it to sit like this, just like that, and so that should be fine, and that's where that will live, and that seems correct. So I will let's glue that into place. And then I'll paint it in situ. There. And that is correct. So that's good. So those are in. And that takes care of those. Now, the next thing I have to put in are these struts here. These struts have to go in. And they live see here. They live in the corner, and just to make sure I get them the correct way round. That appears to be correct. And they're going to live in the corner, I believe, like that. Now, what's interesting about that is all of these points of contact here are going to be connected to the top frame. So everything has to be where it needs to be. So I'm gonna get those into position here. We'll put those in position, and we'll carry on, and that will take care of page 17. And I'm going to continue to work ahead on the airframe. So I'm just basically building up the frame, making sure everything is square. And that continues the inside of this. Now, it was made of metal pipe. It did have a wooden exterior that bolted onto it, and all of this pipage, you know, it made the airframe quite rigid and quite strong. So it's quite fascinating to sort of build this and read the history of how this was actually constructed. Metal frame on plywood. But it's fascinating to me if you think about it in terms of where we are today in terms of technology and the kinds of things that we're building. You know, that seems madness to us today, right? Plywood and metal piping. But hey, you know, that's what they had. That's what they did. So good on them. And you know, it's how the evolution of these things happen. You know, without those tragedies and the insanity, we would have never have learned what worked and what didn't work and how to improve on it. So there you go, history in the making. So I'm going to continue to build the frame up here, and I'll do another. Well, in the next segment on this video, you'll see some a little more of advancement. But anyway, fun to have you along for the build. I'm glad you're with me. So let's carry on. Progress. I like the word progress. I have to tell you, you know, for someone who does not build planes, I'm having a really good time. I mean, I'm sort of addicted to this thing. It's kind of weird. But anyway, Let me catch you up with where we are. I've been working on the fuselage frame, and I think, as I mentioned in earlier on in this video, the frame of this in actuality was tubular steel, and then they attached plywood around this casing, this sort of cage. So it's interesting. You know, they built this cage purely to house these jet engines, because my God, can you only imagine? I mean, if they, you know, if they weren't able to control these things, I mean, they would have just slid out or something. I don't know. The amount of thrust must have been extraordinary. But yeah, a lot of fun. Now, I have to tell you, I was really concerned about this airframe, because when I looked at the construction manual, and it is incredibly detailed, sometimes you have to really take a hard look at everything, because orientation is everything. And I know from the little experience that I do have, is that if you're not aligned correctly on every single one of your structural parts that you build, nothing will hook up. Well, the gods were with me on this one, and I got everything into place. And you know, I have to tell you, it's pretty sturdy. I mean, in my hand, it's super light, obviously, because it's plastic. But the reality of it is I can see how in real life this structural steel frame really did its job, and they've done I think they've done an excellent job recreating it. You know, starting back with the sort of these exterior pieces here, which were part of the wing fastening ribs, and they had you build those as separate pieces, and then underneath here, you can see there are several elements here that I've painted individually. I pointed out, obviously, this, and I don't know why they wanted it this blue, but there you go. It's that's what they wanted. But it's either an oxygen tank or some kind of helium gas tank there. It just says liquid gas in my manual, so I'm not sure what it may have been. So that got installed, as did some of the other details, including this red box here, which I'm assuming is some kind of a battery box. And then they had you sort of start to put all of these various frame pieces together. Now, on its belly, or I should say, actually, on its back, forgive me, this portion of the frame that I'm pointing out here was one piece. So I don't want to suggest for 1 minute that I spent a day in a life actually putting these pieces together. No, but the connective tissue here, the bars here and the bars here, are all connected, and each one of these joins, and especially here at these joints here, they all had to line up perfectly in order for this to connect. Then they had you, it's going to be hard for me to show you, but I think you can see it. Where I'm pointing here, they had all of these various mechanisms, these rods, which I believe are the mechanicals for moving the rudders and the aerons, excuse me. So that all had to be put in. And so then once you did that, the engines themselves had to slide in here, and they had to connect exactly at several points. One point was here, and I think you can see it's extremely flush, so it went in quite nicely. And the other major grab point is actually probably really hard to see now, but I'm going to point it out anyway. It's down here. It's a bar that goes into this engine and it crosses over to this one. And there's still a few other points that I haven't connected yet, but these all had to slide into place. These bars all had to slide into place. Underneath, see, where is it here? Oh, here it is. This piece here had to line up perfectly, as did this piece here. They all had to line up perfectly. Now, what I've done is I've aged down both of these engines. I've added all kinds of washes and details. I may still do a little more. I've also added some heat blast, some scorching to the back here, and I'll do a little more of that. And I've added a few other details. This was a really fun piece that I did in burnt ochre, and let that dry, and then I dry brush some silver over it, which is just a fantastic effect, by the way. So if you don't have your burnt umber, not ochre, I'll get it right one of these days. Your burnt umber. So burnt umber and silver is fantastic. So if you're doing mechanized things, if you're doing sort of aging or rusting or mechanical stuff, burnt umber and your silver dry brushed over your burnt umber, home run. Okay, so the airframe is now together, and what I wanted to do was sort of show you that takes us in the in the manual. It takes us all the way to, if you can believe this or not, to page 23. And let me see if I can get you a little closer here to where we are. Because the last thing I did before I came back to you, there it is. The last thing I did before I came back to you was installed this piece here, right there, and that's the piece that I've been talking about with you, and so I'm turning the page with you for the first time. Yes, I've looked at the book. Come on, go with me here. So now it says we are onto the cockpit. So we're going to start building the cockpit. Now, I'm going to start looking at what that requires here, because interestingly enough, all of that frameage will be in black. Now, let's get you back to the manual here, because building the cockpit then takes us to the instrument panels. Now, we do have some pretty good decals, and I'm pulling those out now. So yeah, here they are. So I believe that in our decal sheets we have we do. So what has come with this now? I should say I do not know if Edouard makes a cockpit for this, but Brett didn't supply it, and we don't have it. So we're just going to go with what we have. And it's pretty good. I mean, for a decal, it's pretty good there. Now, the instrument cluster is quite clean, and we are going to see a little bit of it because Brett and I talked about this. We're not going to have the cockpit closed. We're going to actually have it open so that you can look inside. As we are also going to have a cutaway on one of the wings. So we have our cockpit here, and what's really interesting is they also gave us this masking set here. And this is just for the canopy. There's nothing here for the instrumentation. But I do appreciate the fact they gave me canopy masks. Not easy to paint good canopies. I've seen guys do it by hand, and I'm very impressed by that. But no, they have given us a masking set. And so we will look at what it's going to take to actually to do this. Now, I can tell you, because I have my trusty concept notes book, that let me get you closer to this. That in this book, you can see that the front cluster is, you know, it's not super detailed. There doesn't appear to be an awful lot of electronics in it. And as you can see here, we are gonna display it this way with the canopy open. I don't know. We won't be clear here. We'll definitely put some finishing touches on it. But I think this is a great opportunity for us to look at the entire model here and realize that what we've got is this piece, right? And so the orientation of it actually is like this. Here's the orientation of it. So imagine this sort of dissolving into this. And so you can see that we've got this kind of exotic camouflage pattern that we're going to put on here. Now, I intend to have the tail colors on, and probably this leading edge piece here, which is your walkway. This is to show the pilot how to walk to the cockpit without destroying something. So my best guess is that we will open up this side, and what we'll do is we'll do a cut, and we'll come down quite extensively. And what that cut will do will allow us to see some plywood, some framework, and this engine. And that's how we will. That's how we'll set it up. Now, I'm not sure if there are any better ways to do it. I will continually think about it. Now, I do love this picture, because in this picture it shows you the complete airframe in its orientation the way we have it. So that does beg a question, you know, should we display it with one of the wings off? I don't know. It's kind of interesting, because, you know, as I go through this and the amount of time and work I've that's gone into putting this in, you want to show off your work. You know, you don't really want it to disappear inside the plane, never to be seen again. So lots to think about. And I'll tell you, you know, you get more and more selfish the more you work on these things, because it's a lot of fun. It really is. And it's a tremendous amount of detail. What I may do when I get a little closer is probably have a consultation with Brett and talk about that to see how he feels about it. But I won't know until I've done a little more. So we're gonna sort of plow ahead here and start working on this cockpit. Now, it really was sort of a cage for the most part, strapped between two jet engines. Can you imagine this? It's like literally strapping yourself to a rocket and just boom. Extraordinary. The guts this guy had. Well, of course, I would also be curious to find any kind of information about how it crashed. I suppose if I take the extra effort, and perhaps I will, is to start diving in and doing a little more reading. I can figure out just exactly, perhaps from these notes, what happened. But curiously, as you start to build this and you start thinking about it, and my head is like spinning with, I don't know. You know, I don't know if this can fly or not, but great fun. The other thing I wanted to show you too is you know, because I went to the trouble to actually get those flat fan blades in there all painted up, and I'm glad I did. And they all got dry brushed with a little bit of gunmetal, so they do pop. So I desperately want to see as much of this engine as I possibly can. I mean, sadly, when I put on these what I can only assume are heat shields, that you know, I lost an awful lot. And of course, as you know, we went to all the trouble to put all of those different turbines in here, and they're gone, you know, never to be seen again. But I know they're in there, and I know they're finished. Aha! So, really happy with this. And really sort of starting to feel a little more confident about what I'm doing. So we'll sort of start to work on the cockpit now, just to sort of show you what I'm planning to do is go dive into the cockpit, and then once we've dived into the cockpit, and we'll get the wheels on this thing, and then we'll have basically what's left and what you can see in the Smithsonian, curiously enough. So landing gears are next after cockpit, and then once we've gone from landing gears to cockpit, we're on the fuselage outer panels. And so once we get to the outer panels, and we've put on all of the outer panels, then it's going to be time for us to really start thinking about the wings and the assembly of these wings. And I can tell you, I can see a tremendous amount of detail here. I mean, really fantastic details. So I'm sort of thinking to myself, let's really do what we can to show off one of these wings. More's the reason, obviously, for us to build it with this cutaway like we're doing. So I think what we'll do is we'll do one more segment for this show. I will build the cockpit up, and we'll install that, and I'll show you that in a couple of stages. So we'll do that. We'll spend, you know, I don't know, we're probably at the 40-minute mark now. I don't want to take these too long, but we'll go through the cockpit and installing that, and maybe even putting the landing gears in, and that'll be good for this episode. So let us plow on. I got my morning coffee, and it's lovely and quiet out here in the shop. It's Thursday, and it is the 12th of May. We continue on with our Horton 229 in 132 scale. Been doing a lot. This episode it's actually, excuse me, I need that to get going. Actually having a lot of fun, and I thought I'd show you what I'm working on right now, which is it's this right here. These are the main landing gears, and if you take a look at the actual photo of this, which is right here, we can see what we're up against. And once that is complete, that gives us the sort of core of this thing, and then the wings structure and everything else around it was plywood and a lot of hope and glory. But this was the structure that they designed to hold these two jet engines and try to get this thing into the air. So I thought it might be fun to just, you know, have a bit of a chat while I clean up some of these parts. Now, one of the funniest things, and I know this sounds goofy, but one of the things that I've struggled with in a few kits is where some of the injection molding parts come sort of are connected to the pieces that we're working on. And I know that sounds silly, but it's true. Some of it to me looks structural to the model, and it's not. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have that issue or suffer from that issue, but anyway, I have just a little bit. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm working on these two little pieces. I've got two of these angled struts that have to be connected together. And of course, because I'm doing this while everyone is watching, I can't see the other piece. It's here. I promise you it's here. So let me see here. It's hilarious, right? I know I'm looking right at it, but this is one of the weird things about the way I work, which is I put my book in front of me, and sometimes the photos on this book tend to make things disappear, but it's here, I assure you. So here's the wheel. Now what we have to do is we've got to clean up this wheel. There it is. I just found it. So sad. But these wheels, why they come in two parts, I don't know. I don't know why they come in two parts, but they do. They come in two parts, two halves. They could easily do this as just like a nice rubber tire that they give you, and you'd be fine. But instead, no, we've got to clean these up, which is okay. We'll clean them up. So that requires getting these little nubs off of here like such, and then I've been using this blade called Flashmaster from flashmasterhobby.com. You get 10 blades for about $12, something like that. And they are wafer thin blades, and they bend. But my God, are they sharp. They're really sharp. And they do a lovely job at taking off the flash without gouging your plastic. It stays nice and flat. It glides across. It cuts like butter. So you get this really nice clean. Now, even though I say that, I still like to just make sure, because my eyes are not as good as they once were. Sounds terrible to say that, doesn't it? I'm only turning 60, but don't tell anybody. It's a secret. Yeah. So now, curiously enough, what I've done is to get these to sit nicely together, you're going to need a little bit of filler, but then I'm going to be using black rubber from Tamiya for the tires, and then so we'll put those together, and I'm using capillary action to do that, and it's working quite well with my Tamiya here. So just getting this on here, and it goes in really nicely, and it also burns off a little bit of that flash too, which is nice. And you get just a couple of seconds to sort of reposition this, not much, because this is actually the ideal it's the ideal glue for this kind of work. So we're going to let that we're going to let that set. Here's the other I don't want to lose those. Here's the other one. And I sanded that down, and I've put on a little bit of Mr. Surfacer 500. I painted that on last night, let that dry. And then once I hit this with a couple of coats of the black, that'll just disappear. Now I do have, and I don't know if you can see it here, but on this tire, it says Continental. And you get a code number at the bottom. Now I believe that was most likely part of the tire, but I'm going to dry brush that a little bit with a little bit of white after the black rubber is on. And then these little, the hubs, here are the hubs, and they'll get a treatment of black with just a little bit of my Vallejo aluminum. Just a very, very light dusting, nothing super. This is what I was talking about. Now I've got fat fingers, so I apologize in advance. But this is what I'm talking about. Do you see these little nubs? Now, obviously, on this one, it's bloody obvious what it is. It's like, Phil, we know what that is. I know you know what that is. All I'm saying is that sometimes they get lost on some of the framework and I look at them and I see them as structural. And it takes a guru and a sharp eye and someone who's been doing it a lot longer than me, like the great Lou Del Meso over at Aztec Dummy, to go, Phil, that is a piece of flash. That's flashing. I go, oh, yep, sorry. You know where that happened to me? It happened to me on my Aries 1, my Aries 1B build down in the actual landing legs. Sure enough, Lou goes, "You're gonna take the sprue off." Anyway, so anyway, this went together quite nicely. Not a real lot to do on this actually. It's kind of, you know, it's got some bumps and blemishes here. So what I'll do is I'm just going to sort of go around it here just to kind of see where we've got, you know, the worst kind of offenders on these wheels. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Now, what I'm doing is I'm using this Mr. Surfacer 500, and you can clean it up with lacquer thinner. It's no problem. So what I've been doing is I take a brush and let's get you a little closer here. And so what I do is I get a little bit of my Mr. Surfacer and I paint this on. Now you're going to get a little bit of shrinkage, and that's okay. And this does not have to be perfect because it'll sand off nicely. But what you are trying to do is get it in those cracks. Now, a lot of you are going to be familiar with Mr. Surfacer, and so if you are, I apologize. If you're not, this is a wonderful way to get some seams taken care of, and it works really well. So I'm just going to set that aside for a second and let that dry. See, we've been at this for about 11 minutes. I watch the clock incessantly. I apologize because sometimes I don't want these shows to go over an hour because no one's gonna watch them, and certainly nobody cares. But I think it's fun to get in the weeds sometimes and do a little building, because sometimes I get yelled at for not doing any building, just running off at the mouth, and that's not the intention. But it is a kind of hangout, you know, and it is incredibly therapeutic for me to talk to a camera. So I do it. Okay. So quickly here, the next thing you have to do, and I'll show you on this one, is we've got to add this strut. Okay, so the way we're going to do that is we're going to find it, and what I discovered was there's actually only one way this can go. So there's a knob here, and oh, I'm noticing a little bit of crap right there. Okay, so the flat piece belongs at the bottom. Now, do you suffer from the ping effect? I do. Baby little parts in the wrong tweezers or where you're not paying attention will ping, and they're gone. You'll never see them again. I've been on my knees in this shop for hours sometimes looking for something. Fortunately, I found it once in a while with the help of Mrs. Spruverse, who just somehow is genetically able to find this stuff for me, but I never can. So what you do is you drop this here. There's two little holes either side, like that. And it stays in place, but it stays in place very delicately. And then the idea is that you've got this other piece. Now, I make the mistake of putting it in tweezers that cause it to ping. I use my fat fingers and I'm safer. And I do try to lean over the bench. Now, there's some guys use aprons or tucks that will stop it from sliding down in front of you. That's very clever. And I do have such a weapon. But do you think I could be bothered to put them on? No, I cannot. So that dropped in quite nicely. Let me get you closer, because otherwise you're going, Phil, this is nice, but I feel like I'm 20 miles away, and that's not the object of the exercise. So let me get ready to go here with my trusty Tamiya Superfast. And the object of the exercise here, if I can be delicate, is to get these two parts. Of course, you've got to do this on camera, right? Get these two parts together like that. Bingo. And then, through the magic of capillary action, we glue that. And I will let that set up. And that is good to go. So now I have my two struts here, and I have a left and a right, so I know those are correct. And that takes care of that. Now, now I have to just triple check these. Let's see here. I'll do that. Let me get you here, and you can see. So I'm just sort of making sure that I've got no rough edges. Now, you know, sometimes I know that I'm working on stuff that is not necessarily going to be seen or stuff, but I've learned over the years to the way I've improved as a model maker is to be clean, to be thorough, to be patient. But clean up everything, finish everything, even if you can't see it. Now, sometimes there's a rationale for not finishing the backs of things and stuff like that, but finish things. You'll feel better for it, and you'll just become a better modeler. I think you will. Okay, so I've got one tire here ready to go with its strut and its inside workings, the wheel hubs, I'm going to call them. Forgive me, my my plain nomenclature isn't very good. Now, I do want to show you this. This dried pretty quickly, and if you can see right here, there's still quite a big gappage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this one more time with my Mr. Surfacer. Because sometimes sometimes it can take a couple of passes before you get it just spot on. Now, the nice thing about this stuff, and which is why I sort of learned to use it, is that it self-levels, and then it sands beautifully. So as long as you're careful, right, and you're not, you know, you're not overdoing it, with a good sanding stick with the right grit, you can really blend that in nicely. And once it's painted, you'll never see it. But it does take a lot of work, but well worth it. Okay, so I've got one set finished. Well, not finished, but ready for paint. And I've got the other set is I'm just waiting to sand up my tire. Then the only other thing we have to do is turn the phone off, because let's see here. The only other thing we have to do is we've got to do the front wheel. And to do the front wheel, which is this piece right here. Now I'm on page 29 of this book, if you have this kit and you're wondering where I am. On page 29. And so let me pull my appropriate stuff here. So it wants the tire, the wheel, obviously, and I can see where that is. It's right here. And this is the front wheel. It's a single wheel in the front, two in the back. So we'll clean those up, and that's the tire. And then there's two pieces of this this axle, which is part 20 and 19. And let's see here, where is it asking to pull that off? Let's see here, come on. Isn't that interesting? It doesn't. That is so wacky. That is so wacky. Yeah, well, it's Oh, hang on. Hang on, main landing gear. I'm not where I think I am. That's what happens when you do this on camera, right? You're not paying attention. So in essence, I'm not quite there yet. I've got some stuff I need to add to these landing gears. Some pipage has to go on. 04 and 08. So here isn't that interesting? So here's 04. Let me get this off. There we go. And 08. 08. There it is. It's a little boomerang part there. Okay. Okay. And then 012. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see here. Here's a 12, and I can see two of these. So obviously that just pinged. I got it, but it pinged. See? Now, here's an example of, now I know I've got a little piece here, so that can come off there. And this will be the landing gears, so I just got to clean these up. And then what this will do is this is obviously part of the engineering that is going to allow the wheel to actually rise up into the plane if you wanted this in the flying position. Now we're going to have this in the landed position, but that's what this part is all about, and that's obviously connecting. It's part of the main landing gear. So I have got to attach these parts to both of these front wheels, and then I've got to get going on. Then I've got to get going on the front landing gear, which is called the nose landing gear. So I will put that together, and then let's take a look at these three assemblies together once I have them together. Okay. Okay. So the tubular inner core of this HO229 is complete. Both of the engines are in, and the landing gears are on, wheels are on in the down position. So very happy with it. And this is a sneak preview of the Zoukei-Mura base. They make great bases, by the way, if you didn't know it. And they're like 20 bucks. Now, obviously, we're going to put ours on a nice piece of finished walnut or oak, and I'll stain it, and then we'll appropriately give this a good name tag. But it's a really nice dramatic base for it, and I love their bases. You can get all kinds of different versions of it, but as you can see, this went together really well. Cockpit is tight. All the control surfaces are there. Let me try to get you closer here so that you can see that. There's my cockpit, and I will gingerly tip it for you so you can see all of the gauges are in. Again, you know, the magic key to this is fit, 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 fit. If you've got everything tightened together, it looks beautiful. Wheels are on, front assembly is on, appropriately dry brushed, our Continental wheels, and there is a decal here that you can see. So that went on quite well, and the rear have these lovely black hoses that go up into the frame. I'm very happy I went with this sky green Tamiya. It might not be Canon, but I don't care. I think it's just a lot more fun and a lot more dramatic than a gray would have been. I just like it, and I think it'll punch through very well. Now, the next step for us here, of course, is we're going to start thinking about how we're going to display this, because one half of this is going to be completely finished and looked all crisp and clean, and the other side we're going to do a cutaway. So what I'm having to decide right now is which engine I like. I changed up a few things, changed a little bit of the painting, the detail deliberately, added different kinds of washes deliberately, so that we could pick and choose which engine we think is the right one, because the other one is obviously going to be gone forever. You're never going to see it again. And that is a bit of a shame, but one we'll see completely. So that's the next challenge here, is to start on the exterior of this frame. So come back for part 3, and we'll carry on. As always, guys, if you like what you see, please like and subscribe. It means an awful lot to me. You can send me a line at spruverse@gmail.com. I always love to hear from everybody. And you can follow me on Instagram at spruverse. I post usually I try to post every day if I can, if I'm building something, just to show you my progress. So there you go. Great fun, really enjoying it. It's coming together really well, and I have to say I've been addicted to it. So I hope you're enjoying this build. So as always, guys, I wish all of you be well, be safe, build something. Come on, let's build something. And I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.